state of Mississippi. Doctors there say they are seeing not just vaccine hesitancy, but vaccine hostility. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber from Ocean Springs, Mississippi. She's outside the emergency room at Singing River Ocean Springs Hospital in a state that is now, as I said, out of ICU beds. Ellison, good morning. What does it look like in that hospital behind you?
Hey, Willie, when we got here this morning, there was an ambulance waiting outside in the bay, and I went up to speak with them, and they said that they had been here holding for 30 minutes, waiting for a bed to open up so they could admit a patient. They said they took the last only available bed at this hospital yesterday morning. They said that they were putting patients on the walls, leaving them on gurneys, going up and down, monitoring their heart rate while they waited to get access to a room. We spoke to one doctor here who told us he had a conversation with someone about getting vaccinated, and that person told him that they would rather die than get the vaccine. They are taxed here beyond words. They are taxed capacity-wise. They're also just taxed emotionally, and they're also dealing with not just vaccine hesitancy, but as you said, vaccine hostility. And doctors, nurses who we've spoken to, they really blame the internet and politics for a lot of that. I talked to one nurse in the ICU here who, after years of being an ICU nurse, is moving to a different department. She told me that she could just not take it anymore, that it's become too much for her to bear. And she said at this point, people aren't doing what they need to do to protect us, so she has to protect herself. And for her, that means leaving the ICU. She was on one of her last days, one of her final shifts on the COVID ICU floor. On that floor, we also spoke to a respiratory therapist who spends all of her time, all of her shift by the bedside of COVID patients. And she talked about the look in their eyes when many of them are being intubated, and how they will tell her to tell their loved ones to get vaccinated because they wished that they had. I want you to listen to exactly what she told me when we had that discussion.
Just having those patients look at you before they're being intubated and begging you to not let them die, and just the look in their eyes, knowing that they could have done something to help prevent them from getting as bad as they have gotten. That just, it's just heartbreaking.
One thing that I kept hearing from the staff at this hospital and the other two hospitals in this system is that they don't think it's silly for people to have questions about the vaccine, but they do think that it is silly and irresponsible for people to trust things that they see on the internet over the physicians who are on the front line seeing and treating this every single day.
Yeah, we've heard from so many doctors who say these patients have trusted us with so much in their lives, other vaccines, delivering their babies, taking care of their families, and now all of a sudden, because of what they read on Facebook, they don't trust us on this. NBC's Ellison Barber in Mississippi for us. Ellison, thanks so much. In Texas, dozens of hospitals have run out of ICU beds as COVID-19 surges faster there than at any other time during the pandemic. For the first time since early February, the state